What's going on, YouTube? This is Mark again with Waist Deep Wade Fishing, Southwest Florida, and we got another great video coming up. Some very important information that I think everybody can use in these summer months. So today's subject, we're going to talk about something that it's on everyone's mind. What is the best time in the summer to go wade fishing? But before we do that, I want to say thank you to everybody. Hats off to everyone out there, liking, sharing, subscribing, being part of the Waist Deep family, and helping this channel grow. So let's dive right into the subject, and let's tell the story how it is. I personally like to fish on the incoming tides early in the morning, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the best time of the day to fish. In all actuality, the truth of the matter is the best times to fish in the summer months in Florida depends on the spot that you're at, water clarity, depth, if there's grass, if there's structure, if it's a pass. But the majority of the people out there, from the research I've done, in the summer times, we want to use what we'll call the law of quarters. And what I mean by the law of quarters is this. Let's say you've done your research and you are targeting redfish. That's what you're looking for. I've got the hat and the shirt to go with it. It's my favorite fish to catch, aside from the sea trout. We're targeting redfish. It's early, the next morning. You've done your research the next night, the night before. And you know that at 6 a.m. you're past the slack tide and the tide is going to start coming in. Well, technically, you want to be out there early in the morning in the summer. Because it's hot during the day. Right now I'm sitting outside. It's like 102 with the humidity here in Southwest Florida. Okay, so it's just like a human being. If a fish is hot, it's going to get lethargic. It's not going to want to feed. What do? The first thing when you wake up in the morning? You get yourself going, and you're hungry. You want to eat something. But in the fish's case, he just woke up, so he's not going to be ready to go out and hunt. He would be more likely to wait for the food to come his way. So when we say the law of quarters, what I mean is, if you have an incoming tide and you get there on the dead low, about an hour or two into the incoming tide, depending on how many tides you have that day and how fast the coefficient is coming in, you want to go anywhere from an hour to 3 hours into that incoming tide, and that is when they're going to start to feed. Okay, yeah, when the sun comes up, if it's an old wives' tale, the sun comes up, fish are going to bite. Not necessarily true. I've been out as the sun comes up, there wasn't bait in the water, and there wasn't a fish to be found. But then when that water started to move about an hour or two into the incoming tide, and the bait started getting swept in and coming in from the ocean, that's when the fish started to bite. So that's the topic we're going to discuss today. The law of quarters and what works for you and me and everyone out there in the summertime while you're wading the flats. Now, the second scenario we have, let's just say you are out and it so happens you're off of work and you want to go fishing that next morning, okay? But that next morning, 6 a.m. is going to be a high tide. Well, if you check the coefficient and you see how much current is going to be flowing that morning, and I say a coefficient between 60 and 80, then you will have moving water. So what I would suggest is you go out there, okay, not at 6 in the morning, get there about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. The first quarter and the last quarter of the incoming and outgoing tides usually produce the most fish of the day. Now, in our case, in the afternoons, when it's smoking hot out there, the sun is blazing, there's boats all over the place, and there's people in the water, well then, In that situation, I would say, no. The law of quarters are not going to be a factor when you have that much traffic. Now, if you're in the backcountry and you're on a kayak or you're waiting and there's not that many boats around and it is the afternoon and you do have mangroves with shady lines, well then by all means get out there once that tide starts to move. Okay, start chucking underneath those mangroves. Okay, because all the fish are going to be laying in the shade. And as soon as the first amount of bait starts to pull through those mangroves, fish are going to chew. So let's throw another scenario out there. Let's say you have a bad tide in the morning and a bad tide in the afternoon, and you only have one day off of work, and that's that day, and you want to fish it. And you want to go out and catch fish. You don't want to waste your time. Well, the evening, what they call the power hour, the hour before sunset, is usually fantastic, okay? Because that interacts with the solar activity, okay? When the sun comes up and when the sun is going down, fish are triggered to feed. So let's say you have a scenario, okay? The first half of the day is no good, but you have a great outgoing tide from 6 to 8 o'clock that evening, and you want to get out there and wade fish. Now, there's two things you have to think about. Number one, you're going out in the evening, so there are probably going to be some predators out there, so you do need to be careful. Number two, for that day, how fast is the water going to be moving? Is there structure? Is there grass? Is there sand? Is there mud? Is there mangroves? Is there pilings? Is there down trees? Are you fishing a pass? Are you fishing a grass flat? Okay, all those go into factor. But the one thing that stays the same is, on that last quarter of that tide, if you time it right, and let's say you get there, okay, and it was high tide at 12 o'clock, okay, and you get there right around 5:30, 6 o'clock on that last part of that tide, the last part of that outgoing tide. Well, if you're fishing, if you've been flat fishing, there's no more water underneath those mangroves. Okay, so all those fish have moved out into the deeper water. So now when you get out there and you use the law of quarters and you're walking that grass flat and you see potholes, okay, you see maybe a sandbar, or if you're working a pass and you've got good water movement, fish are gonna be there, okay? But it all depends on if that water is moving. But I find that if you use the law of quarters during your fishing on the incoming and outgoing tides in the summers, it's very, very productive. The best advice I can give as a flats fisherman to you guys that are tuning into my channel is this. Wintertime and summertime are two different animals. Summertimes are hot during the day, they're hot in the mornings. You can get up in the morning and be 90 degrees. Okay, so you only may get 1 or 2 hours in the morning of good fishing, and then it's done. You're only gonna get maybe one or 2 hours in the evening, and then the fishing is done. So try to time your outing, your fishing expedition, with the law of quarters in the early morning and the late afternoon. In the middle of the afternoon when it's blazing hot, stay home, go to a bar, have a drink, do what you do. But don't exert all that energy on a smoking hot day. Save it. Wait for the evening, and if you've got that right tide and you've got moving water, you are going to catch fish on that last quarter of the outgoing and the first quarter of the incoming. So if you've got enough time in fast water, let's say you go out fishing at 5 o'clock. Dead low is at 6 o'clock. Okay, so you missed the last quarter, but you got the butt end of it. Well, now you have an opportunity to fish the end. Then it's going to go slack for a little while, and hopefully it's a good coefficient between 60 and 80, and you can look that up on any fishing app. Then you can get the first quarter of the incoming. So if you get there at 5 and the sun goes down at 9, you can work the outgoing, the last quarter of the outgoing, and the first quarter of the incoming. And if you get there on that specific time, and they're spayed in the water, and you know you're in a good productive area, I guarantee you, you'll hit your redfish, your trout, and your snook all on that same flat. Alright guys, well that's going to be it. I'm going to wrap it up. My name is Mark with Waist Deep Wade Fishing, Southwest Florida. Again, thanks for all the likes, the subscribes, the comments. If there's anything you guys are interested in, wanted to see, or any questions you have, leave it in the comments. And I will see you on the next video, hopefully out on the water with a couple of redfish on the end of my line. Till then, take care, peace out, be good, get yourself a yellowmouth.